Do I hit live?
Hi everyone, Molly Oyua with Sacred Fire Creative, and today I am live with Rebecca Cambreleng of Cambreleng Law, and we do have an introduction for her, and I'm just going to read a little bit of it, so I'm going to go find it actually. And if you are watching today and you're watching it live, thank you so much for watching. If you have questions for Rebecca, please type them into the comments today. And if you're watching on the replay, thank you so much for watching on the replay. And again, if you have questions for Rebecca, go ahead and type them into the comments and we'll make sure that we get them to Rebecca. And so before we bring her up and have you talk a little bit more about yourself, Rebecca, I'm going to read some of this. Now it's a really long intro, so I'm just going to kind of skim some of it for you guys. So after more than a decade of working for others, Rebecca decided it was time to direct her own future and use her knowledge and skills to offer clients the full range of help in looking after their business and personal needs. She founded Cambreleng Law in 2015 and hasn't looked back. She has experience in many areas of law, including labor and employment, pension and employee benefits, small business law, civil rights, contracts, administrative, and utility law. So she enjoys helping her small business clients with a range of needs, including formation, lease and contract review, employee hiring and termination, employee handbooks, negotiations, business policies, and any other small or large issue that may arise. And let's see what else. Go Ducks. And she has experience from, let's see, she got her JD from American University, Washington College of Law, and her LLM from New York University School of Law. And she's also worked for a variety of legal settings. So I'll let you guys read that. It's in the intro on my business page, which is Sacred Fire Creative. And for those of you who are just tuning in, haven't watched another video, just to let you know, I'm here to promote women and minority entrepreneurs. And so, Rebecca, do you want to give a little more of an intro for yourself and Cambreleng Law?
Well, I mean, you gave a great intro. Thank you so much. The only thing I'd add is, aside from small businesses, if anyone's having an issue with any other needs, including employer situations, employee situations, I'm here to help. Civil rights issues, that kind of thing.
Awesome. And I do want to get into that a little later. And first of all, I want to just take a moment to say hi to some of our viewers. Hi out there. So it looks like Sujata is watching. Thanks so much. Hi, Sujata.
Hi,
Thanks
Sujata.
for being on live. Really appreciate you. And Sarah Cambreleng already has a question for you.
Yeah, I saw that. Sure.
Of course. She says, what made you want to go into law?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I have wanted to do that since I was a kid. And part of it might be my grandmother, who told me that I should just make my living arguing, since I like to argue about everything anyway. And then she told me being a lawyer was in my blood. And the other part was I really wanted to go into politics. And for me, going into politics meant being a lawyer. So those, I think, were really the two motivators.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for your question, Sarah. We know you're motivated here, and we're really excited to have you watching live. So if you have more questions, feel free to type them in there. We will definitely get them answered live with Rebecca today, okay? And I see some other viewers on there. You can let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching from Oregon or from somewhere else, please let us know. We'd love to find out. And aside from that, I want to get right into it. So we know why you got into law, and I see that, you definitely help small business owners. And can you tell us, I kind of described in that opening paragraph, what you do for small business owners, but I really liked what you described in terms of the different, you just kind of broke it down really well in your presentation at PDX Women. And so
Right.
Can you go through that a little bit? I don't know if you have your notes with you, but it would be really helpful.
I don't have my notes with me, but yeah, essentially what I did in talking to people and asking them, what would you like to know about what I do and how I can help? real life stories are always really motivating for people because it, kind of gives them a glimpse into some of the things I can do. So I talked about business formation, including buying a business without having it reviewed, or I've had situations where people, they start a business on a handshake. They start a business relationship on a handshake, and those can go badly, unfortunately. And, when they go well, they go very well. But when they go badly, you end up fighting, and you end up paying a lot of money to a lawyer like me, where you could have paid me up front and maybe saved yourself some of that trouble. Lease reviews. I've had a couple clients where they signed horrific leases, both commercial and residential, and trying to get out of that when the business, they're businesses that hope they're going to do very well, and we all hope they're going to do very well, and sometimes they don't. And when that happens, they need to get out of the lease. And the idea is to make sure that the lease has an out for you in case your business does go under and you're not stuck paying on that personally. I also talked about tax structures for businesses. I am not a tax attorney. I do have somebody who I work with who does tax work, and talking about the best structure for your business if you're going to grow. Working with employers who need to terminate employees, create employee handbooks. They need to figure out who to hire and the best people to hire, and how do I go about figuring that out. It can be daunting if you want to bring on a team. And how do I structure the team? How do I structure everything I need to make that team successful? And that is where I come in and I help you figure that out. So it's not just necessarily the legal side of things, protecting you as far as the benefits for your employees or your employee handbook or your policies, any internal policies. It's also making sure you're complying with a lot of random administrative laws. And so there are companies out there where they don't necessarily understand that there are agencies that oversee them, and they have to comply with those laws as well as the laws, of the state. Portland sick leave was a big thing when that got rolled out. Marijuana laws and how that intersects. If your employees are getting high on the weekend and you have to test because you have federal contracts, what do I do there? So it's really kind of the panoply of issues that can arise for anybody who's going to start a business or already has a business, really.
Okay, so I mean, you do such a wide range of services. Who do your clients look like? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
My clients, so my small business clients tend to be small. I work with anywhere from sole proprietors to, I think the largest business I have right now has 4 owners. And they tend to appreciate the service that I can give them because it is much more one-on-one than a larger firm. When they get to be too big just for me, I do have other firms that I refer them to for additional help. The rest of my clients are individuals who have been wronged in some way or have been harmed. And so I don't do personal injury and I don't do family law, but short of that, I can help people with, my clients are people who have been terminated because of the color of their skin or because of their sexual orientation. One who is, she was basically fired for being pregnant. I mean, there's a large range of people, but they all tend to be people who need help.
Okay, that's great. And I just really appreciate that you're looking after people. I feel like there's a sense of care. And when when we were doing work for you on your blog, looking at those civil rights cases, I mean, I think that that's really important that people know that you have experience with that and that is something that you can help people with. So it's not just business owners, so it's also individuals.
Right.
And I feel like it's a lot of what I've heard you say is it's like that Pennywise, poundfoolish. Mm-hmm. I know you've said that before. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Well, on the small business side of things, it really is, starting up is expensive. Starting your own business is very expensive, and it costs money to go and have somebody look over a lease. It costs money to have me draw up, an operating agreement for people or a partnership agreement. And so that tends to be the downside for a lot of people. It tends to be, I'm not sure that I can afford it, so let's just, we'll pen something on paper ourselves, or we'll just agree with a handshake. And even when they start to grow, they still think, well, it's working out, so why go now? Even if I have a little bit of fluid capital, why go and spend it on a lawyer? And that's the point at which I say, it is one of my favorite colloquialisms, which is Pennywise, pound foolish, making sure that you protect what you're growing. And, you want to join up with somebody else. That's great. But there are a lot of implications that come from merging two businesses, or even creating a joint venture between two individuals who want to work together in certain respects. And so you can run into a whole host of problems. And yeah, I do work with my clients. I'm not a huge fan of the hourly billing. I am a big fan of flat fees so that my clients know what they're getting. They don't have to worry about me penny. Like when you have hourly clients, sometimes they can get concerned, like, I don't want to call her because it's going to cost me, $10 for every phone call, or, oh, I don't want to ask her because it's going to cost me, 20, 50, $100, whatever it happens to be. And so I think by creating a flat fee arrangement, I can kind of take away some of that, issues with calling. I'm trying to think of the word and it has escaped my head. But yeah, and so yeah.
So, some of the things I listen for are when people need to give you a call. So, for example, I come across a lot of people who they're about to start a business, because that's like when they need a website, or when they they're changing their business. Like they're going from corporate and they're leaving that, or they're leaving, some firm and starting their own thing. And so that to me is a signal that's a good time to give you a call. And then other times, I've definitely run into people who had some not so great experiences with their partnerships that kind of started out great, started out on the handshake, and then became, something they kind of dreaded and didn't know what to do about. So that's another situation where I'd say, okay, I know who you can talk to. And then another situation is when somebody is about to sign a lease, and, it's something that they're looking at, this 5-year agreement or whatever it is, and just having somebody else review what the terms are and making sure there's nothing that's like slipped in there that they would kind of regret later on. So just protecting themselves. Other cases are, of course, we mentioned like civil rights issues where they feel like they've been wrongly terminated. And so are those some good examples of when people should call you? And do you have others that you want to share with people?
Well, I mean, the two other times I can think of is for a business, like a wellness check. It's like going to your doctor for your annual exam. You may not need it. You may not necessarily want it, but it always is helpful to go in and just make sure everything's fine. And I think it's the same with a business. People can come running to me when things go wrong, but why do that? Why wait until things go wrong? Come and see me and make sure everything's going well. And let's make sure that we get you in a place where it will continue going well. But if things go wrong, that you are protected and your business and your interests are protected. As for individuals, the biggest thing I can say is I have a lot of clients who come to me. They have been harassed for years at work and they have stayed quiet and haven't said anything. And then they just quit out of the blue. And, you have to start speaking up. And, if you feel like you're being taken advantage of at work, if you feel like you are being mistreated, if you are being discriminated against, come to me then. And we can work through either how to go up the chain at your HR. So many people are so worried about losing their jobs. I have so many clients come to me where they weren't being paid their proper wages. They're small business owners. And again, I work with both sides to try and fix it, but there are small business owners and even medium and large business owners who either don't pay their people what they should, or, there's paycheck wage theft. There's a lot of problems with people not being paid as they should. And they wait until the very last second to come to me, and sometimes we can't get back everything because there's time limitations on all of these issues that the law imposes. And so, when you first start having a problem, that's when you should come to me. And, if it's a one-off deal, then no, you deal with it. But if you are continuously and systematically having a problem, that's when you should come to me and we can figure out what to do from there.
That's really good advice. Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's extremely relevant considering what's going on today in the news. And I feel like a lot more people are coming forward with harassment issues in the workplace. How do you feel about what's happening out there?
I'm so happy they're finally shedding light on it. It's been one of the worst kept secrets. I mean, Hollywood, forget Hollywood. We're talking every business. Sexual harassment, racial harassment, these are prevalent in the workplace. And it is abhorrent that these things can continue. And I am so thankful that people are finally taking it seriously. And, there's people who are like, oh, I believe every victim, or, oh, I don't believe any victim. And it's, being a neutral party, I say, well, you know what, let's hear their stories and let's see what pans out. And I think it's fantastic that all these stories are coming to light. And, I give 100% credit to these women and men who are coming forward. And I hope more continue to do so and follow in their footsteps.
I agree. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's such an important issue. And it feels like this is the time, like something has really opened up, and we're not just going to stay silent any longer. If people are not having a good experience at work, or having, something that is illegal going on, then definitely, this is the time to talk to somebody. And so I think a big reason why I'm so excited and honored to be interviewing you is because most of us don't have the resources. We don't know an attorney who does what you do, who we can turn to. And then somebody who's so approachable, we can easily talk to you about like soccer or swimming or something as we can about business, and then run your own business, and you're a woman in business. And so I think that, this time, like what's happening too, is even the people who know they need to go somewhere, they don't know where to go. They don't know where to turn for their resources. So that's why I think it's so important to be out there and get this out there to more people and show them, hey, here is somebody who not only is extremely knowledgeable, but she cares, and she has the resources and ability, skills to be able to help people. And if she can't help you, she has the ability to get those referrals or turn to people that she knows who would be good sources for you. So I think that that's so important. So thank you so much for what you do.
Oh, thank you. And, that's 100% correct. If I can't help you, I know somebody who will. And the same token, if you've been turned away by another attorney, that doesn't mean you don't have a case. It just means that attorney either didn't have the time to take you on, or the ability to take you on, or, maybe they have different ideas. And just like there's no two human beings, there's no two attorneys who are exactly the same. So don't give up if just one attorney has said, I don't think you have a case. Try again. I mean, it can't hurt, put it that way.
That's awesome. Great advice. So I have a couple more questions. I have one question is just about and this is maybe putting you on the spot because not something that we talked about ahead of time, but this comes up over and over, and I kind of want to get your opinion on this. So what do you think about services that are the like LegalShield or LegalZoom or things like that compared to going and seeing a separate attorney?
I would say you get what you pay for. And I think it might be better than absolutely nothing, but it still won't give you, it is a one size fits all, which is definitely not the way the law works. And I don't necessarily know that it's what you pay for a monthly or yearly subscription. I don't know how it works. I think if you take that same money and put it towards an attorney that you get to meet in person and not just fill out some paperwork, you would get a much better experience out of it. You'd get something much more personalized. And the big difference is if you become my client, you are covered by my malpractice insurance. LegalZoom, all of those, if they mess up on what you do, you're out of luck. Whereas with me, you've got protection. You've got two layers of protection. You've got me, and then you've got my malpractice insurance above me, so that if I mess up, you can go after some malpractice insurance. So you are doubly covered by going to an attorney, and that's true for any attorney in Oregon. We have mandatory malpractice insurance. You can't practice law without it, and so it is just that separate layer of protection. I think adds to the value you get.
Okay, that's a really great point. And I think that's one that people don't know about. So I really appreciate that you shared that. And thank you for answering the question, because obviously you didn't need to answer the question, but it's really helpful. I mean, I feel like it just comes up a lot, and I just want to be able to help continue to educate people on, how they can protect themselves.
Right.
So, and before I do want to ask you about your interest in politics, but before that, I want to find out more about how you decided what kind of law to practice. So how did you kind of get into that?
Well, it's Ellie, who we both know, is an IP lawyer. And originally when I went to law school, that's what I was thinking I wanted to do, was IP law. And like everybody else who gets to law school, most of us end up switching, what we actually specialize in. And it took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. I actually went back for that second degree, that LLM. And even then I followed that path for as long as I could and came here, and then was lucky enough to get a job where I got to experience a whole bunch of different types of law in Oregon. And I just kind of fell into doing the employment law side of things. And from there, having a lot of friends who are small business owners kind of got me, I'd work with very large businesses, but working with the small businesses started because all of the friends I had who have small businesses. And so for me, it was a way to kind of help them because they couldn't afford some of the bigger firms. And especially when I was working at larger firms, they couldn't afford me. And so being able to help them on a very small scale was really fulfilling for me. So I just kind of went with it.
Awesome. Thank you. And so do we want to turn and talk a little bit more about politics, like what you have coming up or why you're interested in it, and more about
whatever your interview. I mean, I guess it's mine, but it's your interview. So you pick.
Yeah, let's get into it. So tell us a little more.
Well, I am running. Well, I'm not running for anything right now. I'm currently involved with the Washington County Democrats. I'm a precinct committee person, doing work, helping get out the word about different issues that are important, including, going down to the legislature. And I have been testifying in front of the Senate and the House on different legislative issues that are very important, not only to me as an individual, but to me as an attorney, including the Justice bill that came out, which would help overturn some really terrible tort reform law that came down. Unfortunately, didn't pass this year, but we're hopeful that maybe in the future it will, because the people of Oregon are being harmed by this legislation. And, that also spurred me into thinking more about, I did my interview for the Emerge program. We'll see if I actually get in, and trying to start it that way. I did the leadership day down in Salem, and there's a couple other classes out there to kind of educate me on what it would take to run for office. What I'm going to do with that, I don't know. Maybe run someday. But for now, I'm being involved on the ground floor, door knocking, calling, phone banking, things that are needed for important issues.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your work. And can you tell us, just briefly, maybe go a little bit deeper into one or two different issues that are current that we should know about now, things that we should care about?
Well, there's so much that we should care about.
That's why I just said a couple.
Especially, healthcare. We'll just start with the biggest one, which is healthcare, women's reproductive rights, women's rights in general. All of those are a lot more global issues, as far as not only global around the world, but global across the United States. And locally, we tend to be, we're a blue state, and we tend to focus on protecting those who need the protection. And that's, very important to me. Speaking for people who can't otherwise speak for themselves, who I have specialized knowledge, and using that to help people is what it's all about and why I do this. And so the problem is we're in an off year, so we'd have a short legislative session this year. So there's not a lot going on right now. There's a couple bonds for schools that just got voted in, which I think is fabulous. The more we can do to improve our schools, the better. Mm-hmm. And, continuing to, even in an off year, show your voice and show your support by voting. And I'm actually going to start a fundraiser. Kate Brown, who's the Oregon governor, is being challenged by Newt Bueller, I believe his name is, and he just got a huge check from Phil Knight, and he is very not democratic, and I would worry about the state of Oregon if he were to become governor. And I just think Kate Brown does a great job. So I'm going to be putting my money where my mouth is and asking other people to do that as well. And even though it's not an election year, we got to gear up and get ready. So, because we want to take back the House and the Senate.
Awesome. Okay, so where is this fundraiser going to be? Is it going to be like organic or online? And where can we find out more about it from you?
I'm going to have it on my Facebook page, my personal one, not my business one, because this is not business related. I'm just going to be soliciting donations. I am a sponsor for a happy hour that's happening after Thanksgiving for Governor Brown. And the more money I can raise for her, the better. And so I will be posting, I'll be posting some information about it on my Facebook page in the next 2 days. So.
Okay. And if you're watching and you're not, linked to Rebecca on Facebook and you want information, you can message me or message us at Sacred Fire Creative, and I'll definitely get you connected. So, and unless you had anything else, I'm going to wrap up. And for anybody who's watching, hi out there. Thank you so much for watching the interview. Please share it. Let us know if you have more questions, and we'll get those to Rebecca so we can get them answered. And Rebecca, do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here and for, speaking out and sharing your message. All right, everybody. Thank you, Facebook Live. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.